Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is Keeping It Real on Purpose, and I am your host, Edna White. On this episode of Keeping It Real on Purpose, we're diving into the beliefs that quietly sabotage everything. If you ever felt stuck, self-sabotaged, or like living on autopilot, that this one, not that one, but this one's for you. My guest today, and I want to say it right, Lynnsey,
Mm-hmm.
who
You got it.
a certified hypnotherapist, intuitive guide, and the co-host of what? High Vibin It Podcast. She's my kind of girl. She's here to break down how your subconscious mind could be holding you back and how to take your power back. We're going to talk about the root of limiting beliefs and how to rewire your mindset without positivity, toxic, yeah, can be, and what it really means to manifest a life that's in alignment with your soul. Welcome to the show.
I'm so excited. Just our little convo before we hit record. I know this is going to be such a good conversation that people will need and want to
Yes.
hear. So many good vibes already. I can't wait.
Oh, I can't either. So how do you show up in the world?
How do I show up in the world? Well, as you so eloquently said, I'm a hypnotherapist, which means I basically play around in people's subconscious minds, and I use that word loosely, obviously. It's very deep healing work, but I do say play because it is so much fun for me
Uh-huh.
to notice these shifts, to watch the client have these breakthroughs, and for them to recognize that this is what's happening. This is their new normal, whatever that is that they're trying to get out of life. It's becoming their new normal. They're releasing the things that were not true for them anymore, and to
Uh-huh.
watch those light bulbs go off is really selfishly exciting for me. So
Yeah.
I'd love to say that I'm here for the people,
Yes,
and I am,
absolutely.
but also
Yes.
you
Yeah,
have to like what you do, and I
absolutely.
certainly do.
And listen, I make selfish. We're bringing it back again,
We're
okay?
bringing
We're
it
bringing
back. Well,
selfish back again
let's
today.
redefine it, right? I mean, yeah. So I hope I show up as somebody who feels safe and trustworthy, because I certainly am honored to work with the people that I work with.
Awesome. So I'm going to take it back to the foundation of self-awareness.
Yeah.
What exactly is limiting beliefs? We've heard it all over the place. People say it to us. How do we know we have that
Um,
or one?
so this actually brings up I think it's funny. If I may digress, I got a little story. So I would say in last year sometime I went on a podcast. It was hosted by two clinical psychologists.
Mhm.
And I mentioned limiting beliefs, and they said, "Yeah, let's talk about this because I don't have any limiting beliefs. So like what does that mean?" And I love these girls. It was such a fun episode, but I was like, well, a limiting belief, she goes, how do you define it? I said, a limiting belief is literally just anything that you notice that you are doing or behaving in a certain way or having a
Mhm.
certain thought loop that is
Mhm.
not serving your goals and is not serving who you know you want to be and the direction that you're going.
That's
And
good.
it can show up in so many ways. It's a belief about you that limits you.
Yeah.
And usually it's not true by any
Yeah.
means, but we're not talking about truth, we're just talking about belief.
Yeah.
So when I said it and when I when I just described what it was, just the same way I did now, they go, "Oh wait, I do have those."
Yeah.
And I think that's important because there's nothing wrong with how we all
Mhm.
have a limiting belief to some degree. And it may hold us back a lot. It may hold us back a little. We might not even notice that it affects us at all. But
Yeah.
every single one of us has these set of, I don't want to say limitations, stipulations that keep us where we are
Yeah.
because that is what we know is safe. And
Mhm.
it doesn't mean you can't expand outside of that. It just means this is where we are right now. And these are the things that our subconscious has decided will protect us from the scary outside and unknown.
Yeah.
So yeah, we all have them. You may not be held back by them, but you did. I've never met anybody in my 40 years on this earth that did
Mhm.
not have a limiting belief in
Me
some way.
neither. Me neither.
And it's
Where are most
okay. That's the
where do they
important
actually
thing.
come from? Explain to the audience where they actually come from.
Well, they can come from a lot of places. So the
Mhm.
most common is Okay, so to explain this, I kind of have to talk about how the subconscious is formed. Do you mind?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Go
So if
ahead.
you can just imagine, I'll try to be concise, but if you can just imagine that your mind, when you're born, is a circle. It's the shape of a circle. We know the brain and the mind are different. The mind is more abstract and metaphysical, but a circle.
Right.
The only thing that babies are born with is the fear of loud noises and the fear of falling. They have a physical reaction to these two things. And then, of course, the only other thing in the brain or the mind is the primitive mind, which is the fight or flight, the fight or flight or freeze reaction, which is triggered with the fear of loud noises and the fear of falling. As you grow up as a child, your mind is completely open. We're accepting everything as true because you don't really have anything to contradict that. That's why they say kids are sponges. They're just constantly absorbing and taking in information. Around 7, I'd say, to 9. Meanwhile, from 0 to age 9, you're picking up all of these truths about you based off of your experiences. So I love chocolate. I don't like broccoli. I love getting caught. I don't like getting in trouble. Those kinds of things that become true. And once, like I said, age 7 to 9, you get what's called a critical filter.
Right.
Sometimes called a critical mind, that is separating the newly formed conscious mind, which holds our logic, analytical skills, decision-making skills, willpower. All of that is in the conscious, and now the subconscious mind has everything else. So everything that's true about you, your automatic behaviors, thoughts, actions. So like your ability to ride a bike or speak, write, those are all obviously subconscious. And of course, our nervous system and our ability to breathe and blink and digest food. So that's all automatic. We don't have to think about goodness. We don't have to think about how to digest food every time, right? So as we're going along in life, we've come up with all these truths, and we do pick up some new ones. But the bulk of, and I know this is a pretty general blanket statement, it's a bold statement, but the bulk of who we are as humans happens between 0 to 9, 10 years old. So we're all just 9-year-olds walking around in grown-up suits trying to figure it out. And that's okay too. But once you recognize that and you realize like, oh crap, that's why most of the time it's so cliche to say, where did this start? Oh, in my childhood, or tell me about your childhood when all of this kind of started. And that's why, because that's when most of our formative truths about us kind of are formed, and they can manifest in different ways and evolve. Right. So just if you, let's say, I'm going to use money because it's so common, but like if your mom said money doesn't grow on trees, what do you think? I'm made of money. What do you got to work hard for your money?
Yeah, absolutely.
Or there's never enough. It's such a common one. You could grow up thinking that and realize as an adult that that's not true for you anymore, but it's still there because that's what you learned and that's what solidified when it did. Also, things that can become true for you so fast, or when trauma's involved, or when something shocks your nervous system so much that it just cements it into your subconscious as true, when it's never true. The only thing that's true is a fear of loud noises and the fear of falling. Everything else is learned. And so I say that because everything else can also be unlearned, and that's really important to notice as well. Did I answer the question?
Do you think that money is a societal thing? Do you think money is society? Because I know there's childhood, there's trauma, then society, limiting beliefs. Is money a societal limiting belief?
It's a good question. I think it is definitely partly a societal thing. I think, yes. And in the same way, because it was something so ingrained in society, it has become an ancestral thing. If we think about a few generations back, all of our ancestors were just worried about the next meal and how they were going to figure it out, because you had to literally farm it, cook it, butcher it, skin it, and all of the things. And now we just go to Kroger and we get we're not depending on that anymore. So in a lot of ways, this survival instinct, this like default to survival doesn't really apply. I mean, of course, sometimes it does, that we go through recessions and all the things that are happening right now. We're just but for the most part, we have so many more freedoms and so many more options and so many more abilities just as humans than we did back then. However, we're still carrying that because their kids carried it and their kids carried it. And even my parents are still in that belief of there's never going to be enough money. You have to work hard for your money and good luck trying to make ends meet, that kind of thing.
Yep.
And it's a hard one for a lot of people because there are so many factors that are boosting it, so many factors that are encouraging this lack mentality. And I just think it's to stay under the thumb of the man.
Yeah.
That's another bold statement.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is, honestly.
Okay. So let me ask you, so we're gonna move ahead into what your line of work, what you do. And I know that you have you use hypnotherapy in your work. How does that actually help shift the subconscious?
So, okay, so this actually brings me to the part 2 of how the subconscious is formed. So now we got the conscious, we got the subconscious, we have the critical mind, which kind of acts like, I like to call it the bouncer in the club. So it is the go-between. When you have a thought or an idea, it always starts in the conscious. That would feel really good. That's a really great idea. And that would be really nice for me to have. And it checks in, the critical filter checks in with the subconscious with that idea. And it checks to see if there's anything going on in the subconscious that contradicts that idea. If you don't have this goal already, chances are there's something in the subconscious that's contradicting it. And so it'll just kick it right back out. So what I love about my work is what I'm able to do with clients is take them to a space, a trance-like state that is more receptive, that their subconscious kind of perks up and is listening to what we're telling it and to the ideas that you have and the objectives that you have in this work. And we kind of create a pathway through the critical. We tip the bouncer. We get into the club. We start creating new knowns, new truths about you that reflect where you're going and who you want to be, that next level version of you. We basically teach your subconscious in this receptive state that it is safe for you to have whatever it is that you want. Because if it thought it was safe, you'd have it already. That's important. If it thought it was safe, you would have it already. So we're really just teaching the subconscious that it's safe. And, everybody's we've been in hypnosis multiple times a day since the day we were born. So it's already something you know how to do. Most people can get on board with this idea. If you've ever meditated or been in that like kind of floaty state, even if you've gotten a deep massage where you kind of leave the room, but you're still in the room, but you're so relaxed that it's just a nice place to be. That's where the work happens. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good take on it. What would you say to someone who's skeptical, who just so skeptical, this won't work for me?
Skeptical, like they think they can't be hypnotized?
Yes.
Well, I love teaching people that you do it all the time. Now,
I like that part about what you just said. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, you do it all the time, every single day. We have to. It's part of our biology to allow ourselves to kind of go into that homeostasis. Now, the thing that I would say to that person is the only thing that could allow me to not hypnotize you, the only thing that would prevent me from doing that is if you said, I don't want it. And that's also super important because I don't care. I'm really good at my job and I don't care how good you are at your job. If you are against being hypnotized on demand, it can't happen. You have to be willing. You have to be receptive. You have to be open to the work or else it's just not going to happen.
Right. Absolutely. That's with everybody. That's with everything, everybody, ice cream, cereal. It's with everything, whatever you want, you have to be receptive to it. You got to
absolutely.
That's great. So let's shift another gear. And I want to talk about some real life application because I love that because that's really who I am. And my audience knows I need to know how this applies to Edna. Okay.
Right.
How do we manifest with alignment instead of hustle and burnout? How do we do that?
Oh my gosh. I might be the best person to ask or the worst because I still sometimes will try to force my way through some. I think it's especially as like somebody I am someone who was taught at a young age, you can't depend on the adults around you. So you got to figure this out. And so that is it's a little bit of a challenge for me to not micromanage the universe, which is really what we're doing when we try to, push through. So it's a practice. And I think I'm much better than I ever was, but I do notice that I do notice myself doing it sometimes. So in that way, I think I'm probably a pretty good person to ask because I got a lot of knowledge in it. But I would say you could You could chop a tree down vertically if you wanted to. But why? Why are we doing it? Why? Life's hard enough. You might as well let the universe figure it out sometimes. And it feels good, but the scariest part is that trusting piece, that if I let go of this and I don't try to hustle and I don't try to just drill my way through this wall, how do I know it's going to happen? Well, that's where the trust comes in. And every time I've been able to let go, as hard as it is, every time I knew it was the right thing to do and I did it, it has worked out a million times better than my puny human brain could ever have planned it. And I think a lot of us have those examples of when it worked out better than we thought we wanted it. Because
can you walk us through a moment in your life?
Yeah, actually I can. So this goes back to when I started my hypnotherapy journey. I was living here in my hometown, realized it was around my first awakening. I think I read this book called Journey of Souls, which basically talked about, the soul's journey and how, if you believe in reincarnation, like the soul going through their different lessons and their different lives. And this was all by a hypnotherapist. I was like, what the heck is a hypnotherapist? Don't know what that is, but this sounds cool. So I looked into it more and I had like this epiphany that I had to move to California and go learn at his institute to figure out what I wanted to, this was going to be what I did for the rest of my life. But before that, I'd say probably in the past few months before that, I'd been in a very on and off relationship. I was 20 years old. I mean, come on. But he was my high school boyfriend. And at one time, there was nothing I wanted more than to marry this person and have a bunch of babies and stay in that town. But the alternative was listen to my gut, go to California by yourself with $2,000 and hope for the best, or do the safe thing and stay here and probably end up in a mediocre marriage. No offense, but that's exactly what it would have been. So if he's listening, let's be real. And I let go, and I knew that I couldn't stay. I knew in my gut that it was the right thing to do. And it was the hardest thing to do because I left my entire family, all my friends, everything I had known up until that point had been here. And I said, I just can't. The pull to leave is so much stronger than my fear to leave. So I would say that one. And I think we can all agree, at least I definitely believe that it worked out better than I thought I wanted it at one point. And it took me having to just leave everything. And hopefully your gut decisions and your soul isn't pulling you to leave everything behind. But I would say no matter what your gut is pulling you to do, if it's your gut, you will never land wrong.
No.
Ever.
No.
If it's truly your intuition, your higher knowing, your soul, whatever you want to call it, it will never steer you wrong. You're never going to regret listening to your intuition, ever. It's just not a thing that happens.
No. I hear you saying something about your spiritual connection, and I'm glad that you're talking about intuition, because that's a space where you can reframe things. Can you talk to the audience on how using those things right now to help move forward?
This is a good time to ask me this. I'm actually going through, I would say, another transition. I'm in a liminal space, if you will. I'm in a space between right now. I feel like I'm goopy inside the cocoon. This is a
Me too. I'm there too. I guess we're on the same tree.
Every single person I have talked to.
I'm there too.
Has said a version of this. I know I'm not alone. Listeners, viewers, if you got viewers, listen, we're not alone, okay? No. There are people, we're all going through it together. I know it's a good thing. I know that we're elevating. However, right now, I'd say my intuition is coming into play. It's all I have at this point.
Right.
I'm desperately, this is the only twig left that I'm holding on to, because everything else is cool. I feel like
I think the intuition is that little twig that you hold on to when you start to molt and all of that. Yes. That's what we're holding on to. Absolutely. That's what I'm holding on to, believe it or not, right now. My
I'm
intuition.
So with you.
Everything else is going out the window.
We're in a tornado. We're in an energetic and whatever evolutionary tornado, and that twig is our tether. Yes. So that's the best. I honestly wish I could explain it better. That is the perfect
Mm-hmm.
way to explain it.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it feels like. And so we don't always know it's our intuition. I'm not going to sit here
Yeah.
and say I have such a good connection that I always know when it's
Yeah.
speaking to me
Mm-hmm.
or that I always listen. We're
Yeah.
humans. Okay. We don't
Yeah.
always listen, but
Yeah.
this is for me one of the times where I really feel like I
Yeah. That.
have to. I'm there. I have
Yeah.
to. And if
Yeah.
I know it's my intuition, I have to listen to it. Because
Yeah.
what else am I going to do? What am
Yeah.
I going to let go of the twig and just fly into the
Yeah.
tornado?
I
No.
think that's where. No, I don't think. I know that's where I am. That several years ago, I had been studying and refining my intuition. And I think what we get spiritual connection mixed up is the societal definition of spiritual connection.
Mm-hmm.
And what I'm really, the place I am in now is using my intuition to evolve into this butterfly or whatever I'm going to be. Whatever, I don't know what insect I am, but going to be, but I'm evolving into this. And I am getting rid of things that no longer serve me.
Mm-hmm.
Like, like perfect example, my audience, you guys know me. I've been going through this thing with my body that everything that I used to be good with is not good with me. It's just not good with me. And things that I used to take part, have food with, just food in general, drinks, juice.
Yeah.
Are coming, like they're my body's saying no, that's not, nope, and I'm getting an adverse reaction to it. And so I'm taking this as okay, if this is happening in the earth, it's definitely happening in the heavens, right? It's definitely
Right.
happening there.
As above, so below, as within, so without.
Yes. So as I'm going through the food issue, people and things, and I'm and words, and it's like in the Matrix where you see the trickles of numbers.
Yep.
I'm seeing that everywhere, and I'm going, what is that? Like, what is that? And I'm almost like this frozen. Okay, figure it out for you move, so that's where I am. Figure it out before you move. So I am there where you are. I am there. And I'm really hinging on, I think what I'm doing is getting rid of what no longer serves me. That can't take me to the evolution that who I'm supposed to really be. And I think that's for, I was thinking about this right before you came on. So I couldn't, I hadn't had a TV on in my room. And I was like, why am I not going to sleep? Right? TV's off. Why am I not going to sleep? It was because the television was plugged. It was my brain was still picking up the waves, and I was sleeping 2 hours a night. Why? I mean, when I say wide awake, I'm like I'm wide awake. I haven't been asleep, and I'm wide awake. Like, what's going on? Well, we forget that we're energy a lot of times, and anything because I truly do believe in your soul leaves to recharge your body. It comes back down at a certain time. And when you're not getting that, you're not at your best. And that's the spiritual connection. That's it. This just happened before you came on. So I was thinking about that. I said, oh, this is hypnotism here. This is television. So you know what I do? The television, right? You know what I do with the phone, right? Everything is in the living room now.
Yeah. Yep.
Everything is away from me. Everything is, and I'm even thinking about bringing in a candle instead of a light.
Gosh. You definitely need to do it. We were never meant to be this plugged in all the time.
No, all the time. It's too much plugging.
Not just electronics, but like the fact that my cell phone is on do not disturb all the time. I don't want just random calls. And I don't think we're meant to. I think we're meant to live such a more mindful, slow existence. And you're tired all the time. You're stressed out all the time. You're overwhelmed all the time. No freaking wonder we all are, because we're just so available to all the influence all the time. And there's only so much our electromagnetic fields can take.
Our
I
nervous
think
system
this is a
is
whole
getting it
other
bad
episode now.
too. Our nervous system is shot.
Yeah.
It's
Jeez.
shot.
Yeah. So that's great, actually. Yes. Everybody listen, go unplug as much as you can. If it's
Unplug
only,
everything. And
you'll
I
feel so much
couldn't
better.
even, and I just woke up. I said, what is this? And you know how you fall asleep slightly, but not really?
Yes.
And it's something, it went just like that TV. And I was like, and I saw
Ooh.
before I opened my eyes, I could feel the energy from the television.
Oh
I
my
was
gosh.
like, I got up immediately and I just took the television out and I took it and put it in. I said, go, no more TV here. And I was like, okay, I'm going to do something productive with no sleep. I'm like, oh my goodness.
That's what, yeah. I mean, I'll tell you what, we moved back to where I live now, and our house is it's smaller than our Vegas house, and it was built in 1955.
Right. Okay.
So all the rooms are small. The bathroom is simple. The bedroom is small. It's simple. It
Right,
really
right.
kind of rooted me into, unintentionally or intentionally, rooted me into the simplicity that it could be, and
Yeah.
it is now my cottage, like, haven.
Right.
I'm so glad none of these rooms can fit a TV, because I would have filled that room with a TV, and I'm
Awesome.
so
Yeah.
happy that I can't. And
Yeah.
yeah, it definitely will affect you for
Yeah.
sure. But I'm so
And
glad.
I think too, Lynnsey, is that, you know, it's not for everybody.
Mhm.
You gotta make sure it's, you know, because I was fine before. You know what I'm saying? Before I
Mhm.
start evolving to this next level, wherever I'm going, I was fine before.
Right.
Maybe you know, it didn't affect me as much, but now I mean, I get
Yeah.
the jumping in my ear. Like, I'm like, what the heck? Like, I'm totally so sensitive to things. Not, and I was like, what am I, reversal autism, or what the heck is going on here? Like, but it's really our intuition and our spirit that
Yep.
the spiritual energy we have that's
Mhm.
changing, that's really
Mhm.
being more connected,
Yes.
if that makes
I think
sense.
also, I'm gonna say something crazy.
Yeah.
Edna, I'm gonna say something crazy. I think for some of us, I think parts of our DNA are reactivating, because we have all this junk, quote, junk DNA. Maybe that's what was keeping us, not noticing stuff. And now we are waking up. Our DNA is awakening, and we're noticing and getting affected by things. I don't know. I think we
No,
might be.
that's inside that cocoon. I'm telling you,
I
it's
think
inside of
so.
there, because the larvae doesn't have the same DNA as a butterfly.
That is true. Oh my gosh, that is true.
Mm.
I think we got
That's
it.
what's happening for us.
I think so. And bring it on, because it's about
Yeah,
time.
I'm ready. I'm ready.
I'm ready.
I'm ready. I am so ready. And I tell everybody, this is the most amazing part of my life. Like, I'm seeing things differently. You
Yes.
know, and you get to a place that you have no fear.
Mhm.
Are you feeling that?
Yes, I'm more gung ho about the next part
Yeah.
than I think I ever have
Yeah.
been in my life. And
Yeah.
it could, it could be with age. I just turned 40 and I don't give a crap about
Girl, you
anything
are
anymore.
not old. Please stop it now.
Well, I'm just saying,
Stop it
a
now.
lot of things can happen, like this level of, like,
Yes.
not feeling self-conscious, not
Yeah.
feeling
Yeah.
fearful, I think
Yes.
can happen when you've just been taken care of by the universe
Yes.
for so long that now
Mhm.
you feel more comfortable. That's for me. I just
Yes.
think, like, I've never been let down. I've never been
Yeah.
high and dry by the
Yeah.
universe. Has never left me
Yeah. Yeah.
hanging.
And that's the thing where I had to get to is,
Mhm.
you know, because of the patterns of, you know, learn about money,
Yeah.
about, you know, not having enough,
Yeah.
not being enough, you know. I was just telling, you know, a couple of my friends that I'm in the space now. I had to go in the inner shadows of the subconscious. See, it's
Mhm.
not enough to go to that part where it says, I am not enough. But what's behind that I am not enough? What's the why? What's the payoff? And why are you
Mhm.
doing it?
Yeah.
All of that's shadow work, and we don't want to do it. See, we do that easy stuff, peel a band-aid off. Yeah, you're right. I got imposter syndrome all the way.
Let's just
Girl.
do some affirmations and journal about it, and that's, I think,
Yeah, we got that. We got all that. Listen, we
yeah,
got all of that. That's simple stuff, but
that's simple.
it's the pulling that back and, why did I post that online? Oh, people should know what I do. No, you did it because of your ego.
Mm-hmm.
I did face some serious truth about myself. It's like,
And
okay,
that's another thing you'll never regret is knowing yourself better.
yeah,
This is why I say, and we talked about like doing the easy stuff, right? So
yep,
part of the easy stuff, I would say easy,
it
is
is.
not letting yourself feel your feelings, not
Yep,
letting yourself actually feel what's coming up for you, shoving it down and being like,
sure.
nope, I got to stay positive. This is where we talk about
Mm-hmm,
toxic
mm-hmm.
positivity. It's not serving you because the only way to move through an emotion is to feel through the emotion and
Yes,
understand what it's trying to tell you, because an emotion is just a messenger.
yes,
Any feeling you have, any limiting beliefs that you have
yeah,
is a messenger. What is this gift that
absolutely.
I'm being given? And am I willing to really look at it?
Mm-hmm.
Also, talking about limiting beliefs, they are only ever trying to help you and love you in the best way they know how.
Yeah,
The problem is that the translation has gotten lost. They thought what they were doing was protecting, loving, helping, supporting, but it's actually holding you back and keeping you
absolutely.
comfortably uncomfortable. And so, as you said, you were looking at things in your life that were no longer serving you.
Mm-hmm.
Your subconscious doesn't know what doesn't serve you anymore. It
Yeah.
just knows that it did at one time, and there's no expiration date. But the good
Mm-hmm.
news is
Exactly.
you get
Got
to
to get rid of it.
decide.
Got to throw it out.
Exactly. You get to decide that expiration date. You get
Got
to
to get rid
decide
of
what your
it. Yes.
subconscious believes is safe. And I think
Yeah.
that's the meat of what I want to tell people
Yeah.
is you have a say. You're not stuck with these beliefs. They are kind of your friends. They just don't know what they're doing isn't helping. They think they're helping and loving you.
Mm-hmm.
And so
Yep.
that's why in my work I think you probably do too. When you release something, you release it with love. You release it with
Right.
honor because it was
Yeah.
there for a reason. And so we want to always
Absolutely.
make sure and be cognizant of that. It's not something that hates you or trying to sabotage you. It was
Mm.
it had a purpose. And so you get to decide when that purpose is up and then move on to the next level,
That's
which
right.
I think you're doing beautifully, Edna.
Yeah, thank you so much. Well, Lynnsey, thank you for bringing the real, the raw, and the rewrite. All we need. You reminded us that transformation isn't just about doing more, it's about believing differently. To everyone listening, if you've been fighting your own mind, consider this permission to stop battling and start reprogramming and look for someone like our beautiful Lynnsey here today. You are not broken. You're not alone. You've just been conditioned, and now you can come to choose differently. So don't forget, look in our comment section. I'll give you some information about Lynnsey and where she is and how to get in touch with her. But also remember to like, share, and subscribe this episode. And look out for someone who's trying to get ready to get out of here and be something different. This is Edna White and my esteemed guest, Lynnsey, the hypnotherapist, saying goodbye for now.
Bye-bye.